In just a few short days, Star Wars Episode 7 will appear on the cinema, and Star Wars fever is gripping the world once again, so I thought I'd take the opportunity to review a relatively obscure Star Wars gaming item. It's this thing, the Millennium Falcon shaped plug and play TV game, which consists of 4 games based on scenes from the original trilogy. So let's just take a look at a modest fact file for this item. The Star Wars plug and play TV game was released in 2006, published, or more accurately created, by Jakks Pacific, and the games within it were developed by Amaze Entertainment. Price I paid was roughly £5, although I can't actually remember. The current going rate on eBay for an unboxed copy is around about 10 quid, although there are copies selling in the packaging for anything up to about £25. You can probably get this for under a tenner pretty easily if you're patient enough. So let's take a look at it. First, let's take a look at the item itself before we look at the games that are included on it. So it looks pretty close rendition of the Millennium Falcon. The wire that connects into the TV comes out the end of it. It's got 2 buttons, A and B. The cockpit there does nothing. On the sides, it's again pretty good rendition of the Millennium Falcon. Got some buttons on the front for powering it on, and also a button that pauses the game if you're in game or accesses the menu as well. It's battery powered, so it's got a battery compartment on the bottom. And that just brings us to the actual joystick, which is pretty horrendous. It looks like a lightsaber, I think that's what it's intended to be, but it's absolutely awful. It's like Atari 2600 joystick level of awfulness. It's not micro switched, it's all kind of got a really long throw distance and all kind of wobbly. As you can see, it does center, but with a massive amount of wobbling, so that's going to be fun to play the game with. So that's the unit that I'm going to be dealing with. It's pretty uncomfortable. You hold it like this, I guess, and it's, needless to say, pretty uncomfortable to have all that resting against the inside of your hand for any amount of time. So let's have a look now at the games that are contained within this little device. So here's the introduction, and we'll see the title screen or the game selection screen in a moment, but can I just say first and foremost what awful rendition of the Star Wars theme this is. As you can see, this game was produced in 2006, and there were games produced in like 1983 that had better audio on them than this. I'm talking about the Atari Star Wars game, arcade game in particular. So basically there's the main menu's got 4 different games to choose from, with some nice little animations of the game scenarios, if you like, shots from the film being beamed onto the screen by R2-D2. Graphics are pretty nice on that, otherwise it's just left or right to choose which one you want. I'm going to start with the red leader game. So you press A to start. You get a little bit of an explanation of how to play the game. This is the battle above Endor, flying and supporting the attack of the 2nd Death Star. Pilot an X-Wing and destroy the whole of the Imperial Navy, or as much of it as you can stand to, I suppose. So there's 2 buttons. Joystick moves, obviously. Button A is lasers, button B is bombs, and there's various power-ups there that you can see. So let's get on with the game, and the first thing is, you'll notice there's no background music, which is only a good thing under the circumstances. And as you can see, this is a vertically scrolling shoot 'em up with power-ups like the one I just collected. You get them by shooting the asteroids. There's various TIE fighters swooping around in formation. If you shoot them all of a wave, you get a bonus. Lives are on the bottom left of the screen there, and the scores on the right. Plenty of power-ups to be collected. I'm not sure what the green one was actually. Oh, it's rapid fire. This one is a little A-wing. The A-wing will come along and sit alongside you, and if you collect another one of those you get 2, which is like the wingmen that you might get, here we go, on 1942 for example. So it's a pretty generic upward scrolling shooter. Very modest waves of enemies coming at you at this point. Some quite nice laser sounds, and some nice meaty sounding explosions as well. That's the first stage cleared. Nothing too challenging there. Now we move on to something a little bit more intimidating, which is the surface of a Star Destroyer appearing nose first onto the screen. So once again you wipe out the TIE fighters, but you can now also drop bombs to wipe out the gun turrets on the surface of the Star Destroyer there. Generally not too difficult to get rid of, although I missed that one. You do that with the B button. That's an extra life there. It's quite generous with the power-ups, the game, and certainly to begin with it's not too difficult either. Clearly aimed towards not the most experienced of shoot 'em up players, I imagine. Here we've got some TIE bombers, which, as you'd expect, drop bombs that sort of float in the air towards you. So another energy shield there, so I've got a bit of protection for a little bit of time. So again, although the background changes and it looks a little bit more scary, it's not actually much more scary at all. We've lost a wingman there. And here we reach the end of the stage, and the idea is enemies keep coming towards you. You can see that you shoot the bridge of the Star Destroyer there, it's kind of flashing. You're not actually doing any damage there. What you've got to do is shoot these two shield generator things on the left and right of the Star Destroyer whilst avoiding the enemies flying towards you, and that then allows you to shoot the bit in the middle. And sure enough, there goes the first Star Destroyer. So not too difficult, but a little bit more challenging than the first stage. And then it's more of the same really, back to level 3. More enemies. Again, not in very challenging numbers thus far. There's an Imperial shuttle, I think that's supposed to be, firing more sort of homing missiles at you. So it does get a little bit harder. So I've played for a few more levels, lost a few lives. The end of the second Star Destroyer stage cost me a couple of lives. Otherwise it's not going too badly. As I mentioned, it does get a little bit more difficult as time progresses, as you'd expect, but overall it's not too challenging. And graphics wise, I haven't really talked about the graphics and sound. Graphics wise, just show that, that's a great little power up there. Clears the screen with little laser bolts. Graphics wise it's definitely sort of, I don't know, it's kind of 8-bit-ish, but there's a few more colours than a typical 8-bit system, so it's sort of somewhere between 8-bit and 16-bit, maybe a bit Amiga-ish in places, and the sound's pretty nice and meaty effects, but nothing too exciting really. It's another one of those power-ups, so let's have a bit of that. There's some nice power-ups in the game, and the enemies are pretty nicely drawn and everything, but there's not much variation. They do start to spit out a lot more bullets in later stages, and some quite elaborate formations. There's a lot of, that's an extra life there, that's useful. There's a lot of power-ups, a lot of asteroids on this level. You can see here also there's a few background graphics. There's the moon of Endor with the Death Star on it, looking a bit far away. Not quite sure why I'm doing battle so far away from that. Very nice power up, that one. Probably the best power up in the game. So it's kind of trundling along, not a lot of note happening. I assume I'm going to get to the end of this stage at some point. Probably the main criticism is it's a little bit on the easy side. There's another extra life. So suddenly I've gone from only having 2 lives left all the way up to having 4, which is helpful in terms of progressing further in the game. The main challenge is actually controlling the ship, because precision movement is somewhat difficult with this wobbly joystick. Handy. This looks like a slightly different Star Destroyer. This might be Darth Vader's Executor Star Destroyer. It seems to be a bit larger and have this sort of recessed area in the middle of it. These bits where you're dropping the bombs, by the way, reminds me of maybe a game like Flying Shark or Xevious. just adds a little bit extra level of strategy to it, I suppose. But again, they're not too difficult to get rid of. So all in all, it's basically a cross between 1942 and Xevious, I suppose. Obviously in a Star Wars setting there's another extra life. It's all become rather easy again. Although I've lost a wingman there. Assume I'm going to be getting fairly close to the end of the stage at some point. So here we go, here's the end of the, I think this is the third Star Destroyer I've faced. And again, it's more of the same. You blast the force field generators on the sides to unleash the middle of the sort of bridge area, and that then will allow you to try and take it out. But added danger now is presented by these missile firing turrets, although there's a place you can sit there right in front of it if you're careful, where they won't get to you. So, and there we go, that's another one wiped out. So what happens next? Level 8 is an asteroid field. There was one of these earlier on in the game, and this is just a chance to rack up loads of power-ups and loads of extra points, because there's nothing that shoots back at you as far as I can tell. It's just lots of asteroids. Obviously if you hit them, I assume you'll be losing a life. So as long as you're brave and can just keep ploughing lasers into them, then there's not much to be worried about. I'm now on level 11. I'm kind of bored now. I've been as high as having 9 lives and just lost them out of pure boredom more than anything else. It does get a bit repetitive, and although it does get slightly more challenging, not really challenging enough, there's too many power-ups being given out, which make it a little bit too easy to make progress. So I'm basically just going to try and get as far as I can. I'm not really spending a great deal of time trying to avoid being killed, as you can see there. The levels just get longer and longer and longer without any massive difference in enemy formations or the sort of intensity of enemies. So you can actually dodge bullets quite easy. I'm not quite sure where the hitbox is on this thing, but I just managed to dodge all those bullets when I was trying to run into them. That one got me. So I'm down to my last life. Let's just get the force field and see how far I can get more seriously now. It doesn't really matter, you get the idea. It's kind of a fun shoot 'em up for a while, and then just gets somewhat tedious, and I'm starting to get hand ache from holding the horrible joystick as well. So I've still got 3 more games to play as well, so it could be a long review this if the rest of them are as relatively easy as this one. And that wasn't my last life. Crashed into the asteroid as I was trying to collect the power up there. So this is my last life. And I'm dead, but I don't really care. 376,000 points, which is my second best score. Oh no, it's the second best score on the thing. The first one, I don't know who got that, but they must have a lot more patience than me. So it's got a high score table. The scores are saved on the device when you switch it off. It's got some kind of internal memory storage. So that's the first of the games. So let's now have a look at Assault on Hoth, which obviously based on the early part of The Empire Strikes Back, and basically you've got to, well, let's just get on with it, I'll show you. It's best described as a cross between Missile Command and Space Invaders. You've got control of these 3 turrets, and eventually enemies will start coming towards you, trying to wipe out the turrets and also deactivate the energy shield thing that's behind me. So as you can hear, you can shoot the snow troopers. There's also probe droids, as you can see there. I'll show you what happens when one of them fires. You can put up a little shield which blocks it. Sounds suspiciously like a lightsaber. Again, pretty easy going to start with. A snow speeder there drops power ups. That one's like temporary shields without having to activate them yourself. So it's not too hard, again. It is, obviously this device was designed for kids really, so you can't expect too much of a challenge. Eventually you do get some ATSTs coming towards you, as you can see there. Not too difficult to get rid of. Another power up, which I think is an ion cannon, so let's just hang on. Oh, I missed it now. So you get the warning, which is suggesting that something a little bit more disturbing might be approaching. Doesn't look like it at the moment. But Hawk, what is that I hear? It's an AT-AT. Blundering towards me. So you've got to try and hit it before it gets you. And that wasn't that difficult really, was it? And that's pretty much it for this. It just repeats the same idea with slightly higher difficulty for each stage. Again, the graphics are pretty nice. Nice little animated characters. And the gunshot sounds are quite good. Again, quite nice meaty sounding gunshots. The little noises that the enemies make when you shoot them is kind of funny as well. Overall, pretty nice graphics again. And functional sound. There's an extra life which I really don't need. And on it goes until basically you eliminate as many enemies as you can, or you die of boredom, I think, because actually it does get a little bit harder as things start to come more rapidly down the 3 sort of channels, but it doesn't really get much more difficult. There are a couple of interesting power-ups which we haven't seen yet. There's another AT-AT now. And that's gone. And oh, that was prior to the warning, so what are we getting this time? Right, I think this is the ion cannon. Yeah, there we go. So the ion cannon will just do a blast which might wipe some stuff out, but actually doesn't seem to do a hell of a lot. So basically the scariness of this level is just some ATSTs coming at you en masse. And thus far nothing's got closer than halfway towards me. So this has been going on for more time than I care to think about already. And still, I've only lost 1 life, I think, so far. Try and show you at some point what happens if they do actually manage to shoot your base, which has happened once, obviously. Let's just let this AT-AT come trundling towards me and try and blast it a few times, but not with much effort. Basically, that's what happens. Then you lose a life and a guy comes along and re-establishes your base. Oh, that's not good news. I don't know what happens if they get right close to you. Oh, I managed to get him anyway. That's another stage clear. Nearly 100,000 points. Oh, I'm past 100,000 points now. So I'm beyond really caring about what happens further in the game. It's quite a nice idea, but again, it's a little bit too easy and ultimately becomes boring. Although the bullets are starting to come towards me a little bit faster now, it might get a little bit more difficult. There is one power up that I haven't seen in this game yet, which is a deflector shield, so it actually bounces the bullets back towards the enemies that are shooting them at you. And that's not it, that's the ion cannon again. Oops, activated the wrong shield on the wrong thingy then. I think the ion cannon probably stops them from firing. So I've just got the 1 life left now, or 2 really, because I think it goes down to 0 lives before you lose your last life. Just block that in time. Pretty nice animation on the AT-AT, quite authentic to the film. And there we've got an army of AT-ATs assaulting me right from the get-go here, which you'd think would be quite intimidating, but they haven't even shot back at me yet. So, okay, this is the deflector shield power-up, so let's see if we can demonstrate that. If something will come along soon enough to actually fire something at me before the shield runs out. Come on. Right, here we go. So you can see you can bounce the bullets back at them, give them a taste of their own medicine. Well, I'm pretty much ready to just let them kill me off now. So I've got no bases left, so as soon as these run out, that's it, I'm done for. And that's game over, as you can see, because one of the enemies has got right close to me. It basically shoots the shield generator and it's game over. So I got the top score on that one. That's the longest I've played it for, and it was frankly a bit torturous. So let's have a look at the third game, which is Battle of Endor. And basically got to take control of various characters from the Battle of Endor and go through various scenes from the Battle of Endor. You can see there's some power-ups there, and it's just the joystick to move and the A button to fire. And this is pretty much a clone of the Return of the Jedi arcade game. The only difference being, that instead of it being in an annoying isometric perspective, it's actually in a much more enjoyable to play horizontal scrolling style. So again, there's power-ups to collect. You've really got to avoid hitting the trees. You can shoot the bad guys, or you can just try and guide them to follow you, and then get them smash into the trees. It's pretty hard actually. It's one of the more certainly the most difficult of the games that we've seen so far on this device. Again, not too difficult, but this is an exact copy, albeit in a different perspective, of the first stage of the Return of the Jedi arcade game, where you're controlling presumably Princess Leia on a speeder bike. Got to get to the end of the stage, eliminate the enemies, and try and also pick up any useful power-ups along the way. You can kind of nudge them from side to side, which is fun. It's a reasonable recreation of the speeder bike scene without being quite as exciting as that. You've got a health bar on this as well, rather than just lives, so you can get shot and lose health, or you can crash into the tree and immediately lose a life. Again, it's pretty generous with the power-ups, as all the other games so far have been. So hopefully approaching the end of the stage. There we go. It's then followed by Chewbacca in the ATST, and you've got two aims on this one. The first is to shoot the enemies, the second one is to protect the Ewoks, and you're basically making your way to the shield generator. So this is kind of fun. You move the crosshairs around to shoot the enemies and also collect the power-ups. Try not to shoot the Ewoks. That power-up there, the green one, unleashed a horde of Ewok gliders on the enemies. The enemies don't vary very much, other than the occasional enemy ATST. Another extra life picked up there. What you can do, if you're feeling particularly vindictive, is shoot an Ewok. Oh, I missed it. That actually knocks some score off you, which is a slight sort of risk-reward mechanism when you're shooting some of the enemies. This is probably the most... Actually, shoot the Ewok. There we go, got him. You can see my score go down there. Always fun to shoot an Ewok, isn't it? Let's be honest. Let's get another one while we're at it. There we go. Little furry bugger. So yeah, probably the most inventive of the three games played so far, with a variation in styles. That's the end of that stage, I think. There we go. Little sort of cutscene there as he reaches the base. Stage clear, and then of course the final part is to fly the Millennium Falcon into the heart of the Death Star and blow up the reactor. There's some girders hanging up from the tops, or sticking up from the bottoms of the shaft, which you can crash into. There's also TIE fighters approaching you from behind, which don't tend to do a lot of damage. Again, you've got a health bar, so you can be shot a reasonable amount of time, number of times, sorry, without suffering too badly. You can kind of guide the enemies into the obstacles in the not trench, that was the first Death Star. It's not too exciting. It's not really capturing the thrills of that sequence in the movie where it was very high speed. It's a little bit more sedate than that. And obviously what will happen eventually, oops, there goes a life. Luckily I've got 5 spare Millennium Falcons, here we go. Get ready, so luckily all you've got to do is basically just shoot at the reactor and then basically rush back out, oops, there goes another life. Rush your way out of the Death Star as it explodes. Which obviously the further up the screen you go, the more likely, oh god, the more likely it is you're going to escape, but the more likely it is you're also going to hit something. So you've got to kind of, there goes another life. This is a disaster. I might not actually make it out at this rate. Again, not too demanding once you get your eye in. I assume it's going to be over soon, because I'm getting a bit of motion sickness here, I think. Oh, there goes a bit of health. Oh god, come on, let me out. Oh, there goes another life. This is quite difficult. Oh, I'm finally cleared the stage. So out we go, and no cutscene of the Death Star exploding, just straight back to level 2, which is more of the same. And I've only got 1 life left now, I think, or a couple of lives at most, so this could be over quite quickly. As I said, by far the most difficult and the most varied, and therefore, thus far, with 1 game to go, the most enjoyable of the 3 games so far. It does get a bit repetitive again. Oops, there goes another life. So 1 life left, and it's definitely the most challenging. And a pretty abysmal performance by me on the escape from the Death Star. So all 3 games so far have been shoot 'em ups, and I do think it would have been nice to put some kind of a platform game in there, because there haven't really been a great many Star Wars platform games that I can think of, other than the early ones on the NES, I suppose. Kind of the SNES ones were a bit sort of platform / run and gun style games, and that's it. I think game over. Pretty rubbish, and nowhere near my best score. So that just leaves 1 game remaining, which is the Lightsaber duel, which, as you can probably guess, is going to be a fighting game. So there's 4 characters to choose from, although actually I can only choose 1 because the others are locked, so you can only win with Darth Vader to unlock the other characters. So I have to use Luke Skywalker. And again, it's a fighting game. You've got quite a lot of controls. There's blocking, there's light and heavy attacks, unblockable attacks, you can jump, so it's fairly limited options because there's only 2 buttons, but having said that, a reasonable number of options for fighting against your enemy. So there's a bit of speech from the movie there, which is quite nice, and basically you're fighting against Obi-Wan, which is not very nice because he's supposed to be your mentor, in the hangar of the first Death Star. And you just got to hack at him as much as you can. Like most fighting games, when I play them, there's not a lot of skill involved. It's just button bashing and hope for the best. There is some blocking possibility. And also there's like a force gauge, which I think I've actually got up to the top level. You can do like a dash attack if you can get it right, which I don't seem to be able to do. And I got him, I beat him. So he's come back from the dead for round 2, which is more of the same. So this is the force attack I was trying to do. It was a double dash and the A button, and that's killed him off, and I've actually beaten him this time with some bonuses as well. So I get to face off against Vader. Nice sound effect again. Graphics on this are pretty cool again, pretty good animation. the gameplay's pretty unvaried. I doubt I'll win this, by the way, because Vader's pretty tough, and I'm merely a learner. Well, I've got the force attack here. I can... Oh, deploy the force attack. It's nigh on impossible to play this game with the joystick. Oh, got him. The joystick and the having to grip the joystick quite hard. I've got basically the side of the Millennium Falcon digging into my hand. And I've got massive arm ache from playing this because obviously a lot more movement involved than in the other games. There we go, there's that force attack again. Can I wear his energy down and wipe him out? Oh, I need one more hit. Got him! Oh, amazing. This is the furthest I've got in the game. So now, I'm facing off against Vader again, but now in the Dagobah Swamp. So this is completely new to me. I didn't know you got to do this. He's kicking my ass completely this time, though. Ah! Actually got him again, I think, here. I have. Vader, you're nothing. So things I haven't mentioned, the graphics and sound are pretty cool, as you can see in here. Probably the coolest graphics in the game, and the sound's pretty cool as well. The lightsaber whirring sound. Also nice is the health bar of each character, which is, as you've probably already noticed, a lightsaber that gradually decreases in size. Otherwise, pretty run-of-the-mill stuff. Oh, look at that! He's got like a power attack where he throws lots of objects at me. I might be in trouble this time. Yeah, I think he's gonna kick my ass. There we go. That's and that's game over. And not soon enough in my mind. I have actually got the top score. As I said, that's the furthest I've got in that. But my hand is absolutely... Put my name in wrong now as well. My hand is absolutely killing me. So how to sum up this thing? Well, it's a bit of fun. It's meant to be for kids, so it's not meant to be the greatest thing in the world. It's a lot of kind of 16-bit and 8-bit kind of quality games. Bit of variety in them. Not much of a challenge on two of the games, whereas the other two are quite challenging. If you can pick one up for like a £5 at a car boot sale or a charity shop or something like that, then it's probably worth picking up if you're a Star Wars fan. The joystick is horrible, really uncomfortable and damaging to your hand to play with for a long amount of time. But it is Star Wars after all, so probably worth keeping hold of.
If you only knew the power of the dark side.
2, 1, 0.